I was thinking, how am I going to give a clear response to this? Is everything given, or do we have to take it on our own?
Is everything given, or what?
Well, you have to take it on your own. You have to work for it and take it. But on the other side, everything is given milmayim. If everything is given, what in fact then is the difference between the human being who's got intelligence and he sorts, so to speak, he sifts through what he allows into his mind, what does not allow. Everything comes through a judgment call. The animal that does not have that discretion or whatsoever. Whatever he did, he has. But you say that the human being gets what he's given without discretion, without his involvement in what he gets. But we know that when the Rebbe came to give the Torah to you, the Rebbe came to the Torah, and he came down on Har Sinai, and he even saw the whole Shekhinah. He would not give the Torah until he said, Na'asa, ונשמע. We accept it. We accept it. He is overwhelming you. You have it automatically. Without acceptance, you're not getting it. So there is both. It's given in Ma'ila. At the same time, there has to be acceptance. How do we connect? How do we unite these two things? And the explanation and the answer is very simple. And Rebbe gives everything. There's no human seichel that can discern and identify godliness. It is given to him, then it's given to him. If not, he cannot possibly identify it on his own. On the other hand, the human being has the discretion, he has the capacity to identify that which is given to him. So when you say that we take it in, we have the bechira to accept it and take it. The taking it, to take that which is given this is the highest human accomplishment. He does not create it. He does not figure it out on his own. But to have the sense and the intelligence to take that which is given is already attesting to a profound human intelligence. How so? It's given to you. Well, what's so profound about it? And here is where the important principle is. Why does it have to be given? Why can't the human being find it on his own? How that the world finds all natural principles in nature, rules of nature. They find out by themselves, by testing out, and they find out in him. Why it has to be given? Why does Torah have to be given? I'm leaving a second for us to reflect, to see with the answer and explanation to this principle. The world pursues, this is what's called natural science, in a very clear and really convincing manner, step by step, and they discover all kinds of different things in the world. Without being given it, they discover it as they go through the world.
To remain on this call, press 1.
They test. They test things out and they find out how the world operates. But what we are dealing with in Torah, particularly in Pnimis Chassidus, we are dealing with a divine principle presence rather than a worldly presence. Worldly presence, yes, you can discover. Divine presence has to be given to you. If it's given, so then in what way are you different than the animal? You're taking that which is given to you. The answer is, and this is where Yidden came through relative to all the other nations. If it's given, it could be given to all the nations. Why was it definitely given to Yidden? The answer is, it's given to the one who is willing to accept it. Accepting the Torah did not mean just going to school and learn about it. Accepting the Torah means to accept a completely different view of my own mitzias, my own presence, and the presence of the world. Up to the time of Matan Torah, the perception was that you're functioning in a world. After Matan Torah, you're not functioning in the world. You're functioning in a divine presence. At every step of the way, you're within the divine presence. This union, the divine presence is given to you, but you have to accept it. This is where Na'asa ונשמע came.
This is
Na'asa ונשמע. Without Na'asa ונשמע, there would be no Matan Torah. Although, after Na'asa ונשמע, we don't contribute anything to Torah. It's being given to us completely. Our contribution to it is our acceptance of it. This is the answer to your question of Shlomo. It is all given milmayla. What our contribution to it is just that we are accepting that which is given. Accepting that which is given is a very profound statement. Accepting that which is given is not merely, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to study it and learn it. This is why the expression that merited Eden to get Torah is Nishma. I'll understand what let me learn what you're telling me, and I'll know it. I'm ready to work on it. I'm ready to learn day and night. But no, that's not learning. This learning has to be preceded by Na'asa, which means first you accept what is being given. Now, if you did not learn it yet, why are you accepting? What are you accepting? The answer is you're accepting. The acceptance is expressing that what you are, the environment in which you exist, the environment in which you function, is not a worldly environment. You have to first step into it, then you can have it. And in order to step into it, you have to step out of your environment. Na'aseh ונשמע is not fit, does not fit into a worldly environment. Na'aseh ונשמע is a statement. Yes, I'm functioning in world, but the world itself is not world. The world itself is encompassed in the divine spirit state. Once we said Na'aseh ונשמע, once the world has been transformed to being a divine world presence rather than a worldly presence, everything in the world has been redefined according to the divine principle. What you may eat, where you may go, where you may stand, what you may do, everything. You're now functioning in a different environment completely. This is what Na'aseh ונשמע accomplished. Na'aseh ונשמע this is why Na'aseh ונשמע is of such importance. Na'aseh ונשמע is that the yids were instrumental to render the world to the Meibush. From a worldly perspective, the Meibush owned the world before. He created it. But that the world should accept that. It should recognize that this world is not really a worldly world, it's a divine world. This is what yids accomplished by saying Na'aseh ונשמע. Therefore, this is the great miracle of the whole thing, of Matan Torah. It is Torah's Hashem. It's not the Torah that fits into the world and explains world from a worldly perspective, worldly approach. Not at all. If it is a divine concept, so how do you give it to the world? The world will fall apart if you give it. The answer is the world will fall apart. But yids redefine the world itself. But Na'aseh ונשמע redefine the world itself. They said, from the worldly perspective, we identify world as doing what the Rebbe wants, not doing not doing research in the world itself. Here is where we have, in a certain sense, the benefit of understanding the process of scientific thinking, the worldly thinking. You see how the world developed with so much wisdom, so much knowledge. All that is not what we pursue. Now we have a contrast. We understand what it's all about. What's so significant about Na'aseh ונשמע? After all, the Rebbe came down to Har Sinai. He said, okay, you want us, we'll do it what you tell us. Na'aseh ונשמע is much more than we'll do what you tell us. But Na'aseh ונשמע is retranslation, re-identification, redefinition what world is. From a worldly perspective, Na'aseh ונשמע makes no sense. Has the world remained the world after we said Na'asa ונשמע, or it is no longer world? The answer is, the world remained a world. How so? Said Na'asa ונשמע. The answer is because the world itself said Na'asa ונשמע. Yidden accomplished the union that the world itself is says Na'asa ונשמע. If it were superimposed upon the world, then the world is not a world. This is why Na'asa ונשמע is such great importance. It has a significance. Here was instrumental by Na'asa ונשמע to transform the world into a different entity, into the divine presence. So therefore, the answer to your question is yes, in fact, there seems to be, so to speak, an inherent contradiction in what happened. He said the Eibishter is giving you Torah and said Na'asa ונשמע. And we said Na'asa ונשmע is a principle, fundamental principle in Torah. And the answer is clearly, as we just now discussed, everything comes in mile. If it's in mile, then it's not world. The Na'asa ונשמע is a statement coming from world, from Yidden, from a nation, right, Yidden in this world. This nation in this world recognized that world is really God. This is why our nation is unique amongst all the nations in the world. There were all kinds of philosophers, all kinds of thinkers and learnings. Na'asa ונשmע is uniquely ours. All philosophers studied the world. They came up with all kinds of different insights and right and good and bad, right and wrong. But it all remained world. In the world, the things have to be right and not wrong. The nations came to the world and they established rules, laws, how human beings should behave. Very nice. Yidden came to the world. They said, wait a second. This is a divine world. All rules in this world are going to be established by divine command, not by what makes sense in the world. It may be very simple. It may be very simple. Lo titzach, do not kill. Lo tigna, do not steal. Is a principle that makes sense in the world itself. But we say, no, not good enough. We need the teacher to come in from divine command. We need a singer to come from divine command. Why not? What's not enough? You have a Congress, and the Congress says, "Lo yitzach." The same kind of rules. And this is where Yidden, that's why we said we had this unique status in the world. We're saying exactly the same thing that the world says, but we're saying it from a completely different perspective. We're saying, Lo titzach, do not kill. So the world says the same thing. We are saying what you're saying, but what you're saying is a completely different thing. You are saying Lo titzach because in the world it's a wrong thing to steal or to kill. We're saying Lo titzach because this is not a world, this is a divine world. This is the Mabish's creation. You must not violate the Mabish's creation. This is why there appears to be an inherent contradiction in the way we explain things. this contradiction is valid, it's true. Because the world as we know it, and as we work in it, and as we research it, and we study it, everything we are studying the world from the Meibersh's perspective. How did the Meibersher define, how the Meibersher wants us to understand? I don't know if it's saying lahavdil, but in a certain sense it's lahavdil. I always mention the principle, where the Gemara says, Omar Rava, Omar Rav Nachman. All over the Shas, all over the Gemara, that every statement the Almeida, he's always saying it in the name of his Rebbe. This is in Dameroyim and Tanoyim, all throughout the whole thing. You start off, Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai, Moshe received Torah Sinai, and from then on, so he gave it to Yeshua, and Yeshua is king. Then there was always one transferring to the other. Nobody did it on their own. Yeshua had his Rebbe, he learned from Moshe Rabbeinu. And then following them to this kingdom, they learned from Yeshua. There was a transfer from one level to another level, from one teacher to the student. Now this student is now not a student. He knows things on his own. He continues to quote his teacher. Why? Because this, quoting his teacher, connects him back all the way back to Sinai, all the way back to Gilem HaSinai. So it's no longer, even at any time, it's not a chokhmah that exists within the world realm. It's always coming milmai. Shlomo, does that answer your question?
Baruch Hashem, Shkoyach.
Okay. Okay, so I don't know what our time allotment is. Okay, let me just go on, and if I need to interrupt, I'll be interrupted like we have in previous days too.
What time is it?
What?
Does anybody know what time it is?
7:09. 7:10.
We have another 10, 12 minutes.
Ooh, huh. Okay. So we started, we're on page Kuf Nun Hey. The top of page Kuf Nun Hey is still a continuation from the previous page, talking about the principle of Yidiyah and Bechira. As we have seen, that Yidiyah and Bechira, Yidiyah means that Hashem's pre-knowledge of everything that occurs and that is possible in the world. And that yet when it comes down to world, there's Bechira, there's choice. If it was pre-known, how do you say it's Bechira that you're choosing it? So we explain, this Yidiyah is from a divine perspective, which is not reflected in the world. There's not sense in the world. The world is presented with a worldly experience, and within the worldly experience, You have to choose. It's completely a new process. As we just now finished saying, you have to, the new process, you have to come through to recognize that even world is also God. And that's where the Bechira comes in. And you have the choice to say world is world or world is godly. That is up to you. And this is where the Jewish people have identified themselves as completely separate, distinct from all other nations. As mentioned already, there were the Chachmei Yovan, Chachmei Atuna, the Greek philosophers, the very, very deep thinkers. They recognize that Seichel is the prime, the super quality in the human being. They've spent their whole days and nights in studying and using Seichel. With all that, there is no comparison, no interrelationship between what we have and what they have. Their Seichel was a Seichel defined and identified and developed within worldly principles. Our Seichel is identified on a different, not in a world, in a divine principle. On the divine principle. That is a uniquely Jewish stance. This is why the Torah was given to us and not to other nations. Not only that, they're not even allowed to learn Torah. It doesn't belong to them. It doesn't fit with them. It's abuse. I'm repeating it so many times due to the fact that, yes, in fact, we are, because we are in the world, and we are constantly being bombarded by the questions, by worldly questions. Well, are you any different? Will you get the right to define yourself differently than all other nations? And we stand up and say stubbornly, no, we are different. This is not a stubbornness. There's a real difference. It's a real difference. This is what are avoided, what we are laboring with ourselves all the time, is to bring this difference into our daily thinking. We already mentioned many times, enough for just one thing. Everything that we see in the world, we see it differently than all other nations see it. The sun, the moon, daylight, the week, the month, everything. To us, everything is a divine revelation, presentation, and the world sees it all as a world. having going into this, it's such a rich thing. I have to finish the following thing. The world is so wise and so smart. And they came up with a completely different view of the daily cycle. Think about it. The daily cycle to us is the sun goes around the world. It brings day and light. And brings all the different seasons. And the moon goes around the world and brings the monthly definitions and yearly definitions. The world, they say, hey, you don't understand how this works. The sun doesn't go around the earth. The earth circles around itself. As a result of that, you have day and night. Makes much more sense. That explains every nuance in the daily cycle, very logically and very clearly. After that, the world came up with this piece of wisdom. Explaining it at a natural level, on the worldly level, how day and night is formed, and how monthly cycles are formed, and yearly cycles formed. We still turn around and say, no. Dimsha creates day and night. And the Rebbe moves the sun around, and the Rebbe moves the moon around. This is how we insist. This is how we insist on defining the world. And they come back to us and say, why are you insisting on being stupid? I'm showing you, I explain to you how it works. It makes every bit of sense. We say to them, it makes every bit of sense, except for one thing. Where does it all come from? You have a world without a creator. So they say, no, God created the world, and afterward the world runs on its own. So it's a godless world. We cannot pursue our lives in a godless world. To us, the world represents a godly presence all the time, on a daily basis, minute-to-minute basis. This is the principle that we have established all the way back at the time Matan Torah said, Na'asa ונשמע. Na'asa ונשמע is a statement. No matter how much I understand about the world, it is always remains a command from Meibus. I understand it this way because Hashem told me to understand it this way. But I understand it this way because that's how the Rebbe told it to me. All right. What?
It's almost time.
Excuse me?
It's almost time.
Almost time?
Chas v'shalom to interrupt.
Huh?
Chas v'shalom to interrupt.
7:20, and what time do you have to interrupt?
I don't know, I
25?
just put it so you could see what time it is.
All right. I just want to establish where we are. Actually, I had been on page Kufnun Hay. In page Kufnun Hay, the Rebbe finished the principle of the idea of Bechira and went into a new principle of idea and Bitul. So we started about Bitul. Bitul is a word unto itself, and just established that this is where we're up to. And Hashem, hopefully we'll understand. We'll be able to get into the principle of Bitul. In short, Bitul is that in fact the entire creation, the entire world is bottled to Alakus completely. As big and as solid that it appears, not only is that it created by God, it represents godliness. It doesn't represent worldliness. By the principle of Bitul. And this we'll pursue next time in Mitzvah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be fired. I overstay, right?